Will Bitcoin correct toward the major $60,000 support, or are the buyers going to step in and reverse the price? These are some of the questions we're answering in today's video. Let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having an amazing day today. In today's video, we are taking a look at Bitcoin's price action on the short term and the macro charts, discussing what is happening, whether or not Bitcoin is likely to continue down, and most importantly, the key levels Bitcoin will need to break above to once again flip bullish. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos for Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. That is the kind of content you were interested in. Join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, and the relevant economic news. If you're interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us on VIP. We post trading setups with exact entry prices, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll also get access to our group chats, our general chat, trading chart and education chat, daily video, news, help, and trade setup chat. If you're interested in joining that with nearly 700 members, contact me in the pinned comment of the free channel by clicking my name, or click these links for more information. Without further ado, guys, let's dive right into today's video. So jumping over to the market data to start, taking a look at 24-hour volume. 24-hour volume is down 46%. 24-hour liquidations down 76%, volume sitting at just over 100 billion, and liquidations sitting at 82 million. Of the 82 million in liquidations, 73 million have come from longs, 44 million have come from shorts, and a testament to just how stagnant and choppy this price action is still currently acting. If we look at the short-term price action, we can see Bitcoin is still in a gradual decline, as it has been in ever since it broke down from that $67,000 region. Slight movements toward the upside and downside over the last 24 hours, again liquidating high leverage positions on both spectrums of the market. Moving over to the DXY, the DXY is looking okay over here, guys. Again, for the DXY to turn really bullish here, we would need to see a break above this downtrending diagonal resistance, as well as a break above our downtrending RSI trend line. If we see a breakout of both of these things, to me, that would indicate a positive momentum shift and a breakout of our structural resistance. We could expect to see continuations much higher. However, guys, while we are underneath resistance, we are actually in a slight downtrend. We are again waiting for breakdowns of this lower trend line. If we see the RSI cross this lower trend line, that is going to be leading for a potential correction. And we could see the DXY come back on down to 102, potentially 101. So at the moment, we are in this apex zone. Not really making too many decisions with where we expect it to go right now, more or less observing and watching how that RSI plays out over the coming 4 weeks. Moving over to the broader markets, the S&P 500 is an absolute rocket ship, sitting at $5,562, absolutely soaring ahead of both cryptocurrency, excuse me, and other traditional assets such as the Dow Jones. Once again, guys, we are expecting potential top targets at around that $6,000 mark, provided we are able to sustain above these new formed lows. Once again, if we look at the trend, we have got our all-time low, we have got our higher lows, we've got our higher lows once again, and we have established a new higher low upon the breakout of that $5,300 level. So only if we break below these higher lows would we see a sign of macro reversal playing out. Until then, we are very much bullish for the S&P, expecting continuations. That is it for the traditional assets. We are moving over to economic data. Again, we don't have all that much economic data coming out, so it is good to always keep up to date and pay attention to developing economic data. We don't have any information on the current or upcoming CPI or interest rate data. Of course, we'll mention that when we do. So let's go ahead and jump over to Bitcoin now. A quick word from today's video sponsor before we do. I wanted to briefly interrupt today's video to discuss the two exchanges we use on this channel, BitGet and BingX. So which exchange should you sign up to? If you look to the right hand side of the screen, you're going to see the list of differences in relation to KYC requirements and the countries these exchanges offer services to. The first link down below being the BitGet link and the second link down below being the BingX link. No matter which link you sign up to, you're going to get up to 15% discounts on your trading fees, up to $5,000 in trading rewards, and of course, you'll get access to every single MegaWhale exclusive bonus campaign we run on these exchanges. Alongside that, BitGet and BingX are incredibly similar. They are both ranked top 10 in terms of trading volume. They both have extensive liquidity pools and market pairs offering up to 125x leverage. And most importantly, they both offer protection funds for their users to protect you against any third-party hacks. So get started now and support the channel by clicking the links below. Thanks for listening. Okay team, let's go ahead and get stuck into Bitcoin. So taking a look at old Bitty over here, our chart, our Bitcoin chart, we can see that on the weekly chart, we are currently got a nice little retest going of that 2021 high. In fact, if we zoom up really closely on the weekly, we can actually see we're dropping just below it over here on that weekly high. We are now retesting the Pi cycle all-time high, which was back in April 12th, 2021. Again, this didn't mark the top for Bitcoin, and this wasn't the top for Bitcoin. It was the Pi cycle top for Bitcoin. We can see we are now in this pinch zone between the Pi cycle high top and the weekly high of the real top for 2022 in November 2021. We can see the price action is currently sitting in this little range over here between the price points of 64,872 and 65,500. So it's sitting in that pocket of support between the 65,000 level and of course that 64.5k level. We can see we are pushing more or less sideways over here on the short term. This is a very important level both on the short term and on the weekly charts, as a breakdown of this level on the weekly will facilitate a potential continuation back on down to 60,000. So let's talk about the high time frame ranges really quickly. Just as on the S&P 500, we've got our absolute low. We have been establishing these higher lows the entire way for Bitcoin, all the way from 16.5k up to 70,000+. The most recent higher low on the higher time frame chart is sitting at 61,000 the weekly, and as we can see, this is going to be the level of major support, which is represented by the weekly high of the 2021 Pi cycle high. We can see, as per the annotations, that a breakdown, a weekly close below this level, would actually put Bitcoin in a position where it is breaking down from the uptrend we have been in for the last, I don't even know how long, a year and a half. This is our structural uptrend. This isn't our trend line, this is our structural trend. The structural trend we have been in ever since that start of the bottom will be actually breaking down if we lose 60,000. So once again, a loss of 60,000 and Bitcoin is in a whole lot of trouble if that occurs. And for us to see that continuation of 60k, where we are retesting now is a major trigger point for that directional continuation. So right now, Bitcoin again will need to bounce from this region. We'll discuss this in a second. Otherwise, we do run the risk for a correction back into that $60,000 range, potentially wicking on back below it before continuing. On the top side, guys, Bitcoin will need to break over its $72,000 resistance over here to see these continuations higher. If we want to see Bitcoin continue higher, if we want to see prices in the $80,000+ region, we will need to see Bitcoin break over that trigger level, that weekly resistance we can see laid out on the chart at 72,000. We'll come back on the short term and discuss that. Let's go ahead now and zoom into two more trend lines. There are two very important trend lines we are also watching moving into the retest or potential, we don't see a retest of that 60,000 region. And this is going to be our bull market uptrend as represented by this trend line over here, as well as the uptrend we have formed since the first higher low once the bull run already started, which we can see we've actually broken down from over here. So let's talk about that first one initially, guys. This is going to be our bull market uptrend. And a really cool feature TradingView actually added was you can add annotations to this trend line. So we'll say bull market uptrend. So what we can see over here, this is going to be our bull market uptrend. We know it's our bull market uptrend because we had our bear market resistance, okay, at that $32,000 level. That was our bear market resistance. If we go over to something like our monthly chart, we can see again that dotted trend line, or this level over here, right over here. This is going to be that monthly level of resistance. We can see it was support for the top of the prior cycle. So we had this region over here where we came back down and retested only for us to go to new highs. We finally broke below it and we saw this massive capitulation to the bottom. And when we broke above this level on the monthly, we saw continuations to highs. If you remember back to our videos, maybe all the way back in July, June last year, we were telling you that a monthly close about 32,000 would validate a move to a new all-time high. So that is that trigger point for the bull run. So we're looking at that level. The bull run officially started over here. The uptrend started when we broke out of that descending channel form, descending wedge formation. That is when we started the uptrend, but the bull run started over here. So we can see that bull run trend line spanning from the low before the breakout and the first low after the breakout. We have that double point confirmation. So this is going to be our current uptrend. Therefore, a loss of this level would result in the bull run being over, or the bull trend being over. So that does give a little window of price action below that $60,000 region that Bitcoin could see liquidity grabs into. We can see that trend line matches up with the price point around $56,000 if we draw a vertical trend line. And if we were to expand that to a date of the 22nd of July, which is a month from now, that would match up with the price point around $59,000. So again, we could see these liquidity grabs under, but provided we sustain above this level, Bitcoin is going to be bullish on the higher time frame. It is only if we drop below this level would we then expect corrections into that $52,000 region, again that prior area of support, or maybe even the $44,000 region. Worst case scenario. Again, I do not think this is likely, but these are worst case scenarios based on what the charts are telling us over here. Once again, if we want to see those continuations upwards, we will definitely need to break above, guys. We need to break above that downtrend, the RSI. Okay, we can see momentum has still been moving downward this entire time. We can see from this point right over here, we've had that downtrend in momentum. And again, guys, we need to break above that downtrend of the trend line, which corresponds with that $72,000 region. So again, if we want to flip bullish, we need to see that RSI push upwards. We need to see that price action push upwards. That is going to validate. Until then, we are in that horizontal high time frame consolidation. We are in that chop zone. We are in that decision phase. We are in the zone where volatility is dropping, momentum's dropping, volume's dropping. We are in that zone where exhaustion is setting in. But the most important thing is that we hold these support levels if Bitcoin still wants to be bullish. If we break down, then we could see higher time frame corrections continue. Until then, we are still going to be in this range. So let's talk about the range over here, guys. We can see the range is made up of multiple parts. One of the most important levels we are really looking at right now is going to be this support level at 64.5 to 65,000. This is going to be indicated by, again, this green box. This green box. We went ahead and did little annotations there, which we can see support reversal area. And we have seen that reversal, right? We saw a little bit of reversal from this region. We came down, we retested it, we bounced, but that bounce didn't take us very high. That bounce took us back to retest 67,000 US dollars. So we've seen that rejection again from here, pushing back into this region. Again, the $67,000 region is going to be a trigger point for a continuation. We'll talk about that in a second. We are now retesting that 65 to 64.K region again. So let's go ahead and write 67K bull trigger. So let's talk about this, guys. If we look at the current price action, we had a high time frame consolidation over here. This spanned at about 30 days. So it's about 30 days, give or take a little bit. We had the horizontal low at 67,000, the horizontal high matching the range high of the higher time frame consolidation. Unfortunately, guys, as we were pushing upwards, as we were breaking upwards, we saw NFP data come in horrendously bearish and it resulted in the market crashing significantly. We were then building up. We saw pre-CPI sell-off. We saw CPI rally. We saw FOMC dump. Then we saw, guys, what was a PPI correction. Then we were finding support at 65K. We were building back up. Then we got rejected, and now we are here. So the last 10, 15 days of price action has been very emotion driven, very speculative, and basically pushed by major news events. We are now retesting support. Nevertheless, we take it at face value for what it is. We are currently in a downtrend. The downtrend is represented by this diagonal trend line. We can see the diagonal trend line spans from that top, our second retest on FOMC, and of course, where we are now. So again, if we want to see a continuation upwards, we need to break out of this downtrend. This downtrend will continue. It's a diagonal line, so it's going to continue, and the price will continue along this trend line until it breaks above. If we break above, it will facilitate a possibility for a reversal in price action. The lower that break occurs, the lower expected move we expect on the upside reversal. If we were to break above over here, we could see continuations higher. If we were to break all the way down over here, the continuations higher would only take us to the mid-level or potentially 67,000. So the first criteria for Bitcoin to turn bullish again would be a break above that downtrend. The second one, we need to see the positive momentum shift. We need to see the RSI shift. So again, we're taking that RS trend line, we've dragged it across. We've got 3 points of confirmation now. We had 2 in the past. We have now got 3, so we've validated this trend line even more. Again, a break of this trend line plus, and this is most important, plus a break of the downtrending diagonal trend line, we'll have the triple confirmation. Why do we have triple? We have trend, structure, strength, okay? Triple confirmation for continuations much, much higher. If we break above 67,000, we re-enter this range, and this whole move is marked as deviation. We would expect continuations back to 72. Until that happens, we are in a rock, between a rock and a hard place, guys. We are below the 67k support, which is pushing the price down, and we are now at the 64.5k resistance support level, which is pushing the price upwards. So whichever breaks first will likely result in the directional continuation of the price action. Let's take a look at this over here, guys. If we see a breakdown of 64.5, we are expecting continuations to the next levels of support. The next level of support we can see over here is at 63.4, and below that is in the $60,000 range. So Bitcoin doesn't really have much room here to move. If we break below this support level, go to 63, we are one support away from a retest of 60k, and that puts those macro charts at a massive, massive risk of continuation. So we'll say it again. If we do see continuations lower, which at the moment is highly probable, because number one, we are below the 60k region, we are underneath a downtrend, and we are just below the midline of the horizontal high time frame consolidation, okay? So we do have the possibility for downward continuations now. That is a very real fact. If we do see that, we could see moves into this uptrend before we see continuations higher. Again, the loss of $60,000 is not enough. We need to break below the bull market uptrend to then confirm we are going lower. So we got time. I would remain patient. Now, this is where altcoins become important, because if Bitcoin keeps going down, altcoins will go down as well. So it is always better now when you're betting on speculative investments. Altcoins are highly speculative. Okay, they are highly speculative. We need to wait for confirmation or confluence from market drivers such as Bitcoin before you look to reinvest in those positions. That means waiting for a high risk entry upon 67 break or even the 72k region, guys. Make sure you're aware of that. Make sure you're aware of that. So right now, downside risk, very possible. It's very likely we're going lower. That is the current notion. That is the current narrative. If we want to go higher, we need to prove the bulls are back in control. We need to prove that we have the strength. And to prove that, we need to see breaks of 67k. We need to see breaks of the RSI. Until then, do not be surprised if Bitcoin drops a little bit lower. But if we drop below this level, that is when we will be actually worried about the high time frame. Until that level breaks, if we do all this and come back down, not worried. Couldn't care the slightest. Bitcoin's still bullish above the uptrend. We break down from that level. That is when we are going to be worried for the high time frame structure of Bitcoin if that occurs. Let's quickly jump over to the macro charts and then finish up the video, guys. So if we jump over to our weekly chart, we can see, again, guys, we have that traditional pattern we have seen. And a lot of people are saying, well, this pattern doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. We're not looking at a 4-year cycle. This isn't a cyclical pattern. We're looking at the technical indicators. The technical indicators are derivatives of price action. Therefore, anytime we see high time frame shifts in volatility, momentum, or strength, these technical indicators are going to be signaling potential top signals, regardless of where we are in the cycle, what phase of the cycle. They are not cycle dependent. They are independent of cyclical patterns. They are representations of strength of the price action. The same goes for the vortex trend indicator. The same goes for our pi cycle indicators. So when we look at the pi cycle indicator and we look at what we have seen in the past, not in respect to prior cycles, when we look at what we've seen in the past in major uptrends, in these major uptrends, what we do notice is only after we break down from those price cycle indicators, do we potentially see continuation lower? And that only happens once the price cycle high is in. So it gives us two things. The price cycle high generally comes in just before we break down from these indicators, okay? And we see a vortex trend indicator retest as the price cycle high prints. So since the vortex trend indicator has not retested its downtrend, we are not expecting a price cycle high to print. And since we have not seen a price cycle high print, we would not expect a breakdown of the low short EMA on the weekly, which is sitting at 69K. So that means we could see that continuation below 60K momentarily, but if we did, it wouldn't sustain below for longer than a week, and we would see that bounce back upwards. So remember, that is a possibility there, guys. If we go to those macro charts again, we can see, according to historical data, according to what we have seen in prior macro uptrends, when we break through the lower band of the Ichimoku cloud from the baseline of the price cycle indicator, we generally remain above both price cycle midlines until after the price cycle high is printed. If we look at prior cycles, that has been evident on the macro chart. Again, these are indications of macro reversals in price action. So it is assumed that if we do break down from these levels, that would indicate Bitcoin is entering a high time frame downtrend. Until that happens, we are not in a high time frame downtrend. All we are seeing is a period of massive consolidation, and we're talking massive. This is the biggest horizontal consolidation Bitcoin has ever seen in a bull run, okay? Now, if we look at this consolidation, it's not really that surprising, right? It's not really that surprising that we could potentially come back to a retest. It's not surprising that we are in a consolidation. Bitcoin went up way, way higher, way faster than anyone expected, than the markets expected, than even the cyclical patterns expected. So to see these drawn out consolidations are actually a healthy thing for the longevity of Bitcoin. You have to ask yourself, what did you really expect? And we've said this entire time, we didn't expect, and we said, although we expect a continuation higher, and we expect that move to be very explosive and will likely trigger a parabolic rally, we don't expect that move to occur until only after we break 72,000. And that's the most important thing. It is upon the breakout of the trigger point does the expected move become probable. Think of it like a trade. If you have a trade active, you have your entry above here and you have your targets, your expectations. It is only upon the activation of the entry price does the upward move become probable, or at least expected. Until then, it is a plan, it is an expectation, it is an idea, and again, we break that trigger, we definitely go higher. But that means Bitcoin does pose the risk of seeing these corrections. Now we have broken below the midline, we could see the continuation, and even if we do see the continuation, we have a lot of confluence here with the uptrend, with the horizontal support, and now, of course, we have the price cycle midlines to pay attention to. So do I think the bull run is over? Objectively, no. Can I see why a lot of people think it is? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Again, when we see massive volatility into massive compression, all our indicators are going to start moving downwards. All of our moving average indicators are going to start pointing downwards. We're going to start pinching towards them. All of our momentum-driven and volume-driven indicators are going to start to flip bearish. But as a consequence of the discrepancy, or should I say, the contrast in strength between the prior movement in the visible range and the current movement, it doesn't necessarily indicate Bitcoin is going to break its bull market uptrend. The only thing that will indicate that is when it actually occurs. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a fantastic day. We may be jumping on tonight to do an altcoin video on our second channel. Again, it depends on my time availability, but if I do, I'll put it up on the channel for you guys to check it out. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. Check out the Crypto Academy as well. It's a 10-unit course. We post it down below in the pinned comment. You can check it out if you want to learn TA, if you want to learn structural analysis and everything you need to learn how to trade. Thanks for watching. See you guys then. Bye.